I love music. I got to tell you what, ever since I was a little kid, I became infatuated with this stuff. I can remember as a child sitting in my grandparents' house listening to 78s on their record player console unit in their living room. And if you don't know what a 78 is, it's a big, fat record album that is very thick and very heavy and very fragile, but nonetheless, I was just infatuated that this music came out of this black discs, and it just took me to a different world for a moment, and I became infatuated and addicted to it as I became an older adult, and I started amassing a very large collection of music. Most of my music sits on CDs. Your collection might be hundreds or thousands of units that are on CDs, cassettes, records, LPs, whatever you have. You're trying to find a better way to listen to your media on the go. Now, if I take my CD on the road and just hold it up to my ear, not only am I going to look like a fool, but I'm not going to hear anything that's on this CD. So I got to find a better way to do this. So I tried putting this in my back pocket and taking my headphones and putting in my ear and plugging this into... No, there's no music coming out of it either. God, I got to find a better way to get my music on the go. Well, these little things have revolutionized the music industry over the last decade or more. This happens to be the Apple iPhone. I also have the iPod Classic. The iPhone also plays music just like the iTouch does. Now, the problem with these devices is that if you own your music library and you've digitized it, once you put it into these units, you can't get it out. Today, I'm going to show you how. All right, we're now sitting inside of my iTunes application on my computer, and as of this video, I'm running the most recent release of iTunes, which is version iTunes 10.0.1.22. If you're not currently at the latest release, go ahead and download the most current version to take advantage of the recent features and functionalities that have been added to iTunes. If you're not familiar with updating iTunes, go ahead and click on Help and check for updates. It'll go out to the iTunes store and check for your version against the most current version and either report back that you are current or give you instructions on how to download the latest release. As you can see here in my iTunes library, I have quite a bunch of songs here. Over 12,000 songs in my music library off of CDs that I own, which took a long time to digitize using an application called Audio Grabber. Now, if you'd like to learn more about digitizing your library to become MP3s, check out some of our other tips, tricks, and how-to videos on the Interface Webcast YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/Interface Webcast. As I said, spending a lot of time digitizing your music library makes it worthwhile to have it on a couple different devices. Now, the iDevice, your iPhone, your iTouch, or your iPod, are one of those devices that takes advantage of your MP3 files for obvious reasons. You can listen to them on the go, taking thousands upon thousands of songs in your back pocket. But the problem is, they were not bought from the iTunes store. Therefore, iTunes will allow you to transfer them down to your device, however, will not allow you to transfer them out of your device back into your computer. Now, why is that important? Because if you have all of your songs on your internal hard drive of your computer, and you happen to have an internal hard drive crash and you didn't do a backup, first off, shame on you. But just in case you didn't do a backup, you would think, well, they're okay. They're on my iDevice. You know, I've got them okay. I can put them back on my computer. Well, this is why this tips, tricks, and how-to comes into play. All right, let's start with the basics. I know it sounds crazy, but getting the music out of our iTunes music library onto our iDevice of choice is where it all starts, so that's where we're going to begin. Now, in my case, I have an iPhone which has an 8 gig capacity plugged into my iTunes application. And that's the first thing you need to consider when selecting the way that you're going to synchronize your music with your iDevice of choice. So, inside of the iPhone, on the music button, you see I can check box the sync music and do my entire music library. But my music library has a capacity that exceeds 63 gigs. So if I were to synchronize my entire music library, I would overload my phone in the synchronization process and get a failure. So, in my case, I would either have to create a playlist or select the artist, albums, or genres that I wanted in the checkbox area and only synchronize those songs. Now, while that sounds okay, it still seems a little bit too cumbersome for me to deal with. So I select the unwritten method, and that is the drag and drop method. Go back up to your music library, select the song or songs that you want to synchronize with your iDevice of choice. In my case, I'm going to select Jodeci's Come and Talk to Me. Now, to synchronize this song with my iPhone, all I have to do is drag it onto my iPhone. Now, I'm holding my left mouse button so that I can show you a couple things here, that the iPhone area turns blue. That means it's ready to accept the file. Now, it also means it doesn't matter where you have dragged the file to. I don't have to specifically hover over the music note. I can drag it anywhere within the blue, and the software has the intuitiveness to make sure that the file gets where it needs to be within the iPhone to be played properly within the right application in the iPhone. So I'll go ahead and let loose of the mouse button, and you'll see the synchronization process start, and that is taking the file out of my music library and putting it onto my iPhone. What it's also doing is in the software, it has the intuitiveness to know that now I wanted to play on my iPhone just my Jodeci song, Come and Talk to Me. So it has selected the checkbox. It has also put the radio button here, and within the list of artists, you'll find that the Jodeci checkbox is checked. Now, if I uncheck this checkbox and hit apply, it will delete the files off of my music library within my iPhone. So, in our case, our hypothetical here is now I've selected all of my songs that I want to have played on my iDevice. And for some reason, I've had a hard drive crash on my computer, deleting every single song that I've ever modified from a standard traditional to a digital MP3 file. Well, I've got my songs here, so that should be okay. I should be able to drag and drop in iTunes back into my iTunes library of music from my device, right? Wrong. If I try to drag this file into my library, you'll notice that nothing happens. I don't get a blue, I don't get a plus mark. If you are on Windows Vista or Windows 7, you will also see the circle with the hash mark in it saying, no, you can't do this. The reason why you can't do this is because that the songs that you are digitizing on your own from applications like Audio Grabber or your audio grabbing software of choice were not bought from the iTunes store. So therefore, the iTunes application will not allow you to take the files iPhone, your iTouch, your iPod, your Nano, and drag them back into your music library. They just don't allow it natively with iTunes. So if you had that problem, what would you do? Believe it or not, it's easier than you think. All you have to do is open up your browser of choice and go to the website GetSharepod.com. Now, it'll take you over to the Sharepod website, which is a free application out there that allows you to back up, change, and share your iPod outside of iTunes. Yes, you heard me right. You don't have to use iTunes to get the data off of your iPod. All you need is Sharepod. Now, don't do anything illegal. I don't condone it or endorse it, but if you have a large music library that you've spent countless hours digitizing into MP3 formats and transfer those files to your iDevice that you own and the music that you legally own, and you've had a catastrophic hard drive crash in your system, this is a way that you can retrieve those digitized files off of your iDevice and put them back onto your hard drive once your system is back up and running. Now, to get Sharepod, it's very simple. All you have to do is go over to the download link here, click on it, and it'll take you to this screen. The current version is version 3.9.6, and as you can see, it can be used free as long as you want. So go ahead and download this. By clicking download, it'll come in a zip file. Now, I already have it downloaded, so let's go over to the application now. Now, once you have the file downloaded and unzipped to the directory of your choice, you're going to see the two files that you see here. One of them is a README. The other one is the installation file for Sharepod. Go ahead and double-click on the Sharepod file, and you'll see it start to run the installation. Now, I'm on a Windows XP system, so it'll only take just a few seconds to install this application. So there you have it. Very simple. Sharepod is now installed on my system, and because I already had iTunes shut down, Sharepod was able to detect my iPhone, which is plugged into the USB port on my computer, and place it into my devices. Now, if iTunes was still running when Sharepod started, it would tell you to shut down iTunes, and then it would activate the iPhone into the Sharepod device, or your iTouch, or your iPod, or your Nano, or the combination thereof that you have plugged into your system. Over here would be all of the media that you have installed onto your iPhone. Now, it's not going to show apps. What it is going to show you is the media that you have uploaded that is outside of the normal realm of iTunes. In my case, it was a single song of Jodeci's Come and Talk to Me, which was part of a very large music library that I spent countless hours digitizing. In the scenario that we talked about in this tips, tricks, and how-to, is if you had a hard drive crash, you could upload your system's operating system, get it installed, and get it up and running once again, get Sharepod installed onto your system, plug your iDevice of choice into your computer, and it shows up here. And then you can simply highlight the song or songs or media that's on your iDevice and get it back into your computer, and not using iTunes to do it. So in my case, I've got Jodeci's Come and Talk to Me. I'm going to copy that song into my computer. Now remember, you couldn't do it with iTunes because it was a song that I digitized myself and I didn't buy from iTunes. I own the CD. I made an MP3 out of it. iTunes doesn't allow you to copy songs that you have made yourself into MP3 out of your device into your computer through iTunes. Sharepod is how you're going to do that. Highlight the song, click Copy to Computer, select the directory where you want to save that file to, and then go ahead and click OK. Now you also see Import to My Music into iTunes. Now that's very helpful if you actually did have a system crash and you want to upload it and then get iTunes back up and running once again. In my case, I didn't actually have a hard drive crash while demonstrating this, so in my case, I'm not going to checkbox that because I don't want two of the same songs trying to get into iTunes. I'm just going to copy the song to My Music on my D drive, and you'll see the song copy in very fast, and that's it. Very simple. Let's take a look at the My Music library. So there you see it, Jodeci sitting right there, and all I did was use Sharepod to get it off of my iPhone and back into my computer. So let's go check and see if the file got in okay. Let's click on Jodeci. There's the album name and also the track, Come and Talk to Me. Pretty simple. Sharepod, a very useful utility and a major oversight, in my opinion, on Apple's part when it comes to the iTunes application. How dare you, Apple, in my opinion, to say no to us who have spent countless hours digitizing our own music library that we own, placing it on your devices that we've bought with our hard-earned money, and just to say no, unless you bought it from our iTunes store, you can't back it up with our iTunes application. Well, congratulations, Sharepod, for thinking outside of the box. If you would like to see more videos like this, tips, tricks, how-tos, and product reviews, stay tuned to Interface, which happens each and every Friday afternoon at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern at live.scottydonline.com. See you, Web World.